How do you break their mental?
I think it's about trying to disrupt Angel's mid-rounding, making sure that the extremities, they have information to make sure that Angel's not comfortable to just do his mid-rounding. Angel's very confident in this map to know how to play the chess game, and I think Giant X have to disrupt that, not just in those opening moments, which is what they're good at, but also then mid-round, Aura has to get out.
I think I'm looking at Westside for this one. I think he's been particularly quiet throughout this series. He did have a couple of good rounds on that map, don't get me wrong, but like, yeah, I think coming into Ascent, I'm looking at him as that key anchor being on that Cypher. How much of a good start can they get off to starting on that defense with him being a valuable player there? And this Alexic and Ara kind of Jet head-to-head is something as well that I'm keeping an eye on. They both enjoy playing the operators, so who's going to be able to shut each other down, I think, is one of the key things I'm looking at.
Having Chow in the recon is always a good day to come into the office. But again, remember the stakes. Yes, the teams might not lock champs by winning here, but continuing that upper bracket run could mean a lot and make the difference for one of these two teams. So let's jump over to Ascent, the last map for today. Let's stuff this over to Mitchvan and Tombis.
Thank you very much, Kukuka. Here we are at map number 3. It's gone the distance after a 13-5 opening in favor of Navi. GX showed up on Haven. More importantly, Ara showed up. He showed us exactly what he can do. The head-to-head of himself and Alexic will be something to keep an eye on now that they're both on Jet here on Ascent.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that we ended up here. I'll be honest, when I was predicting the veto myself, I actually thought GX might ban this. Because I think this is a map, as Minnie was saying on the desk, where I think it's one of the strongest that we've had as of recent. Now, what I will say is you look at that 13-3 victory for Koi, and a lot of that was down to Alexic. 25-8. He was absolutely destroying anyone who walked into his path. And he was kind of silenced in the last map, making some pretty bad errors, in fact. So I think with Ara performing well, there's definitely a chance that this switches, but we'll have to see if he's going to be able to reset.
Right here.
For now, at least, with Navi starting on the attack, this is where historically they've always been able to pull out more rounds than maybe you'd expect.
If I had to put my money on Tom, I'm betting, you know, we've seen an Angel and a Xiao map. We've seen an Ara map. This is Alexic's time to shine. This is where he's going to take it across the line. But
it's like just every map a Ruxic map?
Yes, without a doubt. The guy always delivers, even in the previous. He was the one spearheading a lot of those rounds for Navi. Now, whoever shows up here will be the one that's remembered. 50 seconds on the clock. Navi starting to chip away at some mid-control. They were waiting for GX to get aggressive, waiting for them to overplay their hand, but the patience of GX going to reward them with 3 players towards the site that's being hit.
Vino in the smoke. They're looking to go around the world, put the pressure instead onto Ara. He did it very well in their prior pistols, but will be eliminated. Flickless tries to save the day, but he's been punished. Gravino does well. Allows for the rotation. They're just trying to quickly move their way back into the site. Westside has already managed another. That time is ticking, and Cloud's done well. They need to get that planted. Xiao, last man standing, and there really isn't a safe space to try and get this in. The swing from both angles. GX recover, and will take home another pistol.
That's 3 pistols in a row now for GX. Really getting the leg up in these early halves against Navi. And you said it, when we came into the second half, Tom, it was hard to imagine that it was an even game, with the exception of those 2 rounds gifted to GX because of the pistol and follow-up. With all that considered, this is definitely the best way for GX to start. And again, I like the patience. We saw Navi expecting that over-aggressive face to this defensive side early on, but they just sat back and waited.
I think the other thing, though, is that it does feel like in these pistols, Navi are kind of attuned to throwing away a lot of advantages. Like, that's now happened multiple times, and I think it got a little bit panicky towards the end, but losing so much control. This round, at least, the hope is for damage. Xiao already going to be farming towards that Hunter's Fury, of course, a very high impact ult, especially when it comes to that B site, if that's where Westside will reside. And I think you've already mentioned the highlight of those duelists, but I think in equal proportion, the Sentinel on either side on that defense especially is going to be pivotal. If you're just going to have a player like Hero or like Westside, that can lock you down this much map control. Look, just look at the map right now. Literally 50% of the map is held by one player.
First shot rings out. They know it's an outlaw. They know it's only got one more bullet in the chamber, and there it is spent. Time to speed up. Low HP, easy for Flickless to claim the lives, and the classic on Ara does well against Angel and against Xiao. A solid hold by GX, and a second round claimed with only one loss. It will be the weapon loss, though, because Westside was on the B side, so he can't get around there to recover it, but I think it's just a bulldog.
Yeah. Not going to be the end of the world. Pistol will be dropped over to Flickless. Westside's going to buy up a rifle at that.
One enemy remaining.
This is now where we look to Navi to see how early on in this map they're going to be able to break back. Of course, we already know that lower bracket run. Well, you already have Fnatic down there, if you needed any more information. But even Vitality with the potential of a safe return, there isn't a good option. I'll just put it that way. There's nobody you really want to be facing down in that lower bracket. Angel off to a start, flash popped, and a couple to meet him.
They've slowed them down. Still, yeah, a flash to play with for Angel. They could just go firing through that smoke, but there was a counter ready in Flickless's hand. So he would have popped out of that door and decimated the push. It's the right call to move back. The problem is the space that they've lost. Look at this from Ara. Deep in mid, flash goes over. He doesn't see anyone though. This could work out perfectly for Hero. He's got more to contend with though, more than he bargained for, that's for sure. But the rest of Navi come in to fill those gaps.
They'll get mid control, but they're losing control elsewhere. It's not like Westside has just been sitting pretty. He's taken this aggressive position in towards B main, low on HP, just hoping for one, and he'll find it. That gives the time for the rotation of Flickless. Only a pistol in hand, looking for a timing instead. He's going to risk it through the smoke. He is, and he wins it! An uncharacteristic miss from Ruxic. That now leaves Alexic alone. You mentioned him as a highlight. He needs to deliver.
Oh, that flash is brutal. They know where he is, and there's no safe space on that backside. Another round for GX, and I love that from Flickless. You're already in a disadvantageous position. The rifles they've got, the pistols in your hand. If you let them group up on site, that is a much harder retake. But he knows somebody just closed the door. He heard the drop of the second player going onto site and makes the read. They're isolated. Now's my chance. It was just a split second before that he heard the drop down on site, and that was his springboard. Get in there, take a fight, take him by surprise, and that gave them the leg to stand on then to close this out. 3-0 in favor of GX. This is a lights-out start, and Navi have next to nothing invested into this one.
I think the other problem as well, though, is that Navi, once their initial hit doesn't work, they didn't have any control. Like, they had to go and reclaim everything. And Hero going down early again means that's going to be the same story once more. Hunter's Fury actually committed into this one. This is a very low buy for the side of Navi, but that ult that was building up for such a long time has been used. But now they're going to try and walk in dry. That just feels like a completely wasted ult, and they are just getting destroyed.
Gun here.
I can look at it from two perspectives here. I don't think it's as bad as the Fatal, because you're trying to close out Bind. But this one here, if you get an advantage early, I can see it being thrown in. Doing it when you've lost that mid control and lost all flank control, I guess, is just a sign of desperation, but it does feel like an overcommittal of a very valuable piece of utility. I mean, even if you're going to use it on that A push when you've got rifles in your hand, that makes all the difference.
And an in-zone flawless as well, so it's not even like there was any real damage done whatsoever.
One enemy remaining.
This A-site defense has been sublime, and it's something that, again, just springs to mind when I think of Navi on the attack. It was their executions into this A-site. They've always been stellar at picking this part of the map apart, and right now they are being obliterated, be it from just well-placed fragments, I think from Flickless. The flashes have been very good as well. They've been able to delay them with the smokes from Grabinho, the amount of times that he just puts that into place just as they're about to execute. And it doesn't seem like Navi have a backup plan. The second that initial hit fails, they're just trying to fall back and retake control that they've lost all across the map.
I think this is kind of the problem though as well, Tom, because one of the things you're highlighting there is the fact that you've had great utility coming out from GX. Flickless's flashes have been on point. The same, looking back at the previous map, that was true with Grabinho, using things like the Paranoia to claim them that extra space, to deny it from their opponents. But I think one of the things here I noticed, and shout out to Andy as well on our replays for catching this, and they bring us up close on this one. You saw this flash come out of Angel, and it lands, it pops just a tiny bit too late, as you've already got the TP started coming out of Ruxic. So he's already been spotted, and sure, you blind the other player, he's already looking at your teammate's head. It's an easy kill conversion after TP comes through. It's a split second of a timing, but Navi, it's not the first time we've seen them be ahead of the play. This time, they will very easily deal with that push coming out of Ara. ERX certainly not working to start with, and maybe not to finish either. Shao somehow gotten out of this with 3.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams now start to adapt to play that early anti-flash. Grabinho has run back out through the smoke, though. What was looking like a pretty dire position, with Shao managing to be successful, has ended a very good spot. That TP has been stuck. This means that the flank is going to be ready and waiting. It's going to be the run through. Shao, that's huge. And now looking to try and play for the ace. He's had a brilliant round, but he's spammed out by Groovy. It's going to take down both. Anything you could do, he could do better. And what was looking like a first round for Navi ends with a 5-0 for GX.
Oh, this is a beatdown now. I agree, this round, it starts with the DRX, that gets shut down. Ara traded out, another goes to Shao. He clears out deep mid then, gets them to rotate, embeds for this deep play into AF, and I mean, Shao did everything to recover on these disadvantages, and for Grabinho to be the one closing this out, after he already found one through smoke, he caught the rotate through, wallbangs Shao, and then finishes off Angel. And that is a ridiculous round from, not GX, from Grabinho, who, we've got 2 players on Navi who haven't got a kill yet. Grabinho hasn't died yet.
Yeah, an insane Rebel clutch coming out from him. And oh yeah, 8-0. We know that this is GX in their attempt to make the road to champions. Of course, Liquid await whoever wins this match. Vitality awaits whoever loses. We started off this series thinking Navi were going to run away with it, but right now they are being, I don't want to say dominated, because some of these rounds have been close, but then others have just been squeaky clean. We've had multiple flawlesses, clutches, you name it. The problem for Navi is they don't have the money to buy back in.
I'm saying you don't want to say dominated, Tom, but to quote Angel on this, a round's a round. Close as it may be, 5-0 with a big clutch from Grabinho to put that 5th nail in the coffin for Navi. I bet they feel like they're being decimated, even if there have been closer rounds. I like the second trip. The first, well, unfortunately that second trip's not going to get anything. The knife's been activated, and indeed, no players are going towards it. The gap of info could have caused an over-rotation, but Flickless is doubtful that they're committing. There's been no further noise. The read is there. Flickless is already back to pop the flash that gets Grabinho the double. This site is still very much held with a player back site up in hand, but Alexic deals with him, and they may have time to correct this course.
Alexic is even going to be the one to plant. He's given them something to play with. Operator into his hand, but he's desperately low. A spam or 2 here will do the work, and that's exactly what happens. Re-aggression coming in, a bit of a mistake, but when you've got West Side, that might not matter. Yet to get onto the diffuser, and that will force Hero into the open. West Side holding the door. That will be 6-0. Again, moments where that looked like it could be around for Navi, but those moments quickly dissipate.
Again, I said Flickless in that position. I wouldn't blame him for an over-rotation. They've seen players coming up through mid. They've got no real control. The cam and the trips go down, but he rotates back. He pops that flash for Grabinho, and that's really where the round just unravels completely. He was in the right place at, I mean, to the pixel, the perfect time to be in that position. The flash caught so many and slowed that push. 6-0, and again, you know, close, sure, some rounds have been, but a round's a round. And so far, Navi wouldn't know.
Flickler's definitely one of those players that I think at times might be an unsung hero. He's definitely getting his flowers. You're visibly seeing the work he's doing. Ara's reposition. Bear in mind, some of the players on the other side are yet to get a kill, but Xiao will remove him from action. They've been rewarded for their patience. But it's the second they've looked to execute that Navi have been shaky. There's Rooksic's first kill. Normally a safe pair of hands. He goes for more. No, he's just going to wait in the smoke and catches Flickless as well.
Yeah, but Grabinho is the third pusher. The aggressor coming behind him. They've heard it. They've heard the drop. Being watched by Hero and easily dealt with. West side, we talked you up. The headshot percentage leading the...
What did you say? Something about headshot percentage?
No, I wasn't saying anything.
Can we get an action replay of what Mitch was saying?
I don't remember.
Nonetheless,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
An in-zone flawless. It almost just describes this game. A lot of close rounds, a lot of back and forth in terms of who could be winning those rounds, not in terms of who was winning them. And then when Navi do win a round, it's an in-zone flawless. And a lot of that felt like a lot of overextensions, maybe a bit of extra confidence coming in. For the side of GX, you can understand why. They are 6-0. Yeah, something about the headshot, really high headshot percentage.
Relax.
Mitchman curse is real. Well, that's all I'm going to say. It's the only curse I believe in.
ADS range. It's kind of difficult to hit at the best of times. Especially when they're jumping around like that.
Interesting. Flickless has 2 flashes. And yet, Rooksic was full blinded by a flash.
Yeah, I don't know how that could have happened, especially after Angel's fantastic nade sent onto mid in the previous round. I believe it landed right about here. That's a really big circle, which does include some decent spots to Molly. And let's just pretend it landed in one of those. 6-1.
Your circle accuracy just about as good as the headshot accuracy.
I thought you were going to say as good as Angel's lineup accuracy, but if the tank was here. 6-1. Round 8, and a chance for GX to just prove that the last round was a hiccup. And they're right back to winning ways. They've again got 3 players towards this A site, short, deeply held as well. These guys in main only have one thing to look at.
This is the delay we talked about. Knife gets rid of the utility. Fragment holds them back. Smoke already falling. A mass rotation in from GX already. And Navi now have 30 seconds left to try and make their run back to the other side. You can see Grabinho trying to watch them on the cross. That cage has left a pretty big gap for him to play around, but he hasn't been able to find them. He's now going to TP into the back of the site. 15 seconds for Navi to make this move. West side is there as well. They are ready and waiting for this push to come in. And Groovy again is the man they have to get past. The time surely is already gone, and Grabinho just isn't falling. The rest will just have to survive as Xiao has no hope. And the late pushback, as said, every time they try and alter and adapt, it does not work.
And I look at the previous map and I see moments there. I think back to the A site push that Navi had where they had one man, they isolated him, and by the time they pushed, there were 3 players on site with an Omen just outside lining up a Paranoia. It was awful from a pacing perspective.
Bro, what are you doing, bro?
And just a complete misread. I think this time they fall victim to the fact that Grabinho hears those rotates so early and has it from the shadows. But you also have to look at it like they knew he was there. Angel
also,
revealed him with the
so
knife.
early is there's 30 seconds left on the clock. It's so it's at a point where Navi have to just rush everything. Like they're not pulling any rotations. They're not baiting out any utility. I like this. A bit of a pace change off the back of the null command.
Good amount of space taken. All those trips gone. Let's see what Westside can do with just the rifle in his hand. Cloud certainly good to hold the cross, but they can get Angel right back into the game, and they will do with Hero finding the double. That will not be trades. Instead, it will be a 5v3 reset with GX having to fight their way back through, and the off in the hands of Xiao already reducing the numbers of the defenders.
This round has to be a done deal. If Navi are going to have any chance of turning this around, but Ara has already managed to make things interesting.
No charges left.
That smoke will begin to fade around main, but Ara's caught another. Alexic, though, is there to at least give them their second. It has not been a pretty attack side from Navi, but I like the change because I feel like we haven't seen any aggressive direct takes. Come on, they won the round. Let's see something slightly more positive.
You wanted to see, the desk wanted to see Xiao on the Sova. There you go. You got it. Favorite lineup already.
Hey, he's 11 and 6.
One to learn back home.
0 assists, but 11 and 6.
And it's great because it saved Angel from the slow starts that he's had, right? Like, he wasn't really performing early on in the previous, and now...
He's going to beat you up. I hope he beats you up.
But it does feed into Minnie's point, which was that, yes, Angel's had great maps on KO, but as he said in the desk, it was like, he's also had really bad maps on the KO. So it really is a double-edged sword, and this time, it's cutting clean into him.
7 and 2. There was a change of pace from Navi, but the fact is these slow, defaulty rounds have not been working out for them. Cloud, though, maybe an itchy trigger finger, is going to use the ult. And, well, Alexic tried to react. Has walked straight into the operator of Aura, something we haven't seen too much from him thus far. But now with the man disadvantage, seems like already with the knife going through on the A side of the map for the defense, and one coming back on the other side of B, they are starting to piece things together on the GX side.
All depends on the position of Ara. Pressure's now put on, and he is smoked out.
30 seconds
This time,
left.
Westside will have his util to play around, but it's being destroyed. That only buys them time. 25 seconds on the clock. Navi need to push in. They need to claim space now. 20 on the clock. It's time to move, and there it is. Westside down. That's their trigger. The retake already attempted, but Xiao was waiting by. They only need to clear Cloud from the back of the side, but that proves to be a difficult task. 8 seconds. Xiao's on a sliver of health, and they have got no time and no players left. A phenomenal hold by GX, by Cloud. I don't know how he got away with that.
Yeah, it's just the same problems. They get into those late round scenarios this time, looking close again, but it is the individuals that, when we were talking about that first map, we were saying it almost looked like a firefight that was only ever going one way. Well, crispy 3K.
It's my backside on B. They are not allowed to go there. It's fine.
It definitely seems that way. He's just double his kills in a singular round. Robinho 14 and 3 at the moment, and Xiao is the next best, but next best when you're 8-2 down in rounds really doesn't mean too much. A lower bracket awaits them. Well, that's another easy fight for Ara, as Alexic is gone.
Yeah, we had the questions about Ara and Alexic, but I'll tell you what, one player
Spike down mid.
certainly delivering in the moments when they need is Ara. For Navi, it looks like not many have shown up. It's been a great series for Xiao so far, though. Even looking at that previous round. But an uphill battle if they want to make anything of this one. Even after that pick from Xiao, it's still a 2v4. And look at the position of Flickless. He's just managed to thread the needle deep onto short. A flash sends Xiao backwards. Now mid is there for GX. Sure, Flickless, the one that can be isolated. The other three, though. Actually, Westside, you're a little far out there. Oh, no, they're going one by one, and that made me very worried from what was an otherwise very clean display. 9-2 nonetheless. You can see the reason for the confidence.
Oh, for sure. Like, it seems like they don't believe they can miss a shot at this point, and in a lot of cases that has been true. His battle for mid was decimation, and it was only really Xiao in the 1v4 that made that look like there was any semblance of it, a close round. 9-2. From strength to strength. And maybe Haven was the one that ended up being that close map. As I said, coming in, I looked at this as a favorable map for Navi.
Deploying drone.
But GX have other ideas.
They definitely do. Updraft will save him from the first. Pulls the Hunter's Fury. Not finding its mark, and it won't in the end. Ara still breathing on full HP, full shield. Late mid play, but it's expected. You already saw the paranoia through from Robinho to slow this down even more, but 1:15 on the clock, plenty of time as Navi already claims side control. It's Alexic with a double in the corner. Ara grabs one, but getting out of here will be a challenge, and they'll be dropped eventually. The advantage here for Navi, it looks like 9-3 should be in the books.
Alexic did everything. Those two openers were basically just him running through with no one hit by any utility and managing to get two. Might have just given them a third round, but we've already seen especially with the likes of Grabinho still standing, that there's always an opportunity. They're definitely knowledge of some of their positions, but being caught by the knife at the time starting to tick away. Grabinho still has so much to do. One already coming up, and it's that late flank, another being dropped. Shout at the back of the site needs to stay standing, and a man who's yet to get a kill has got to try and deny them. The fragment should be onto that spike, and it should deny Grabinho. There's just not enough time. It's coming up at least something. A Red Bull clutch from Angel. He managed his first kill in the final round.
I was so worried that wasn't going to land as well. If that nade missed, that's the end. What a time to put up his first and only kill of the half, but it's one that does cement the round for Navi. 9-3 though, an uphill battle indeed. Let's hope Navi have got their hiking boots for the second half.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Well, we had questions coming into that half. Will we see Ara still deliver? Would Alexic find his form? Would it be the same Angel from map 1? It wasn't. Grabinho certainly drawing a lot of our eyes, but speaking about the leaders down on the stage, Angel and Cloud, like I said, it's been a different half that both of them have lived.
I think as well, it's less for me now about the numbers and more about the mental resilience. Of course, when you are leading a team that's already winning the match, a lot of it is going to be about not going overboard, getting those rounds over the line. For Angel, it's about building back into the match. He may be 1-10, but I'm way more concerned about Ruxic being 2-10. He has been their best player consistently. In fact, he's been one of the best players in the entirety of the league, but he is having a quiet performance. A pistol round victory, and Navi on a map that has always had strong defensive sides, they have an opportunity. But realistically, the pistols, at least the last few, have not been going their way.
Well, round 13, your second pistol here. It's been 3 for 3 in the last ones. Last map in this for GX. 5 players spotted. Well, they're certainly not flying under the radar, but they're also not fleeing. Oh, that's very awkward.
It's not the same as the last half.
That's very awkward indeed.
Ruxic definitely doesn't seem to be lacking any confidence. He also now has the same as the last half. It is looking like a potential turning point. Ara's definitely had his moments in the pistol, and you can see that with the amount of control that's already there for Navi, they are locking in any players that look to try and rotate Hero. This is an unorthodox position that definitely won't be expected by Grabinho. If there was ever a way back in, an in-zone flawless in the pistol round is a good way to start.
Disrupting the consecutive pistol wins for GX now. 9-4, possibly 9, probably 9-5. That was really unfortunate. The reveal, 2 players body blocking each other, Cloud and Westside. Look, Cloud, obviously someone's made the call, probably him. Let's go in, let's flood the space. Reveal pops, he's like, no, no, go away, run away. And well, the comms get crossed a little bit. 5th on the board for Navi if they win this one. And it is Classics and a Sheriff they're up against, so we're not expecting too much to go wrong for the defensive side.
Yeah, it's definitely not the biggest investment in on the other side though either. 2 pistols, an SMG, a Marshall. Oh, and then just, it seems like there's just gaps being left. Like, I think Xiao clearly thinking that Alexic had that covered and then almost goes down because of it, especially with him being one of the players with a gun. I can only assume he's going to give that over to Hero, and with the only rifle. That could have been devastating. Ruxic, this is disgusting. He has put down a smoke as just a bait, putting in the one-way just to try and sell the idea that he's still on the other side of it. Eventually will be there to execute his opponent, and this man is already looking like he's going to have a much better defensive half.
Well, that's the scary thing. Like 9 to 5, it's not that big of a gap, and if we do see Ruxic reach the levels that are usually his floor, then this game could very easily flip out of control. We talked a lot about Alexic as well. And if you remember, if you were with us earlier on, we were looking at his defensive opening duels. And on the attack, he can be a guy that lays down his life a lot for the team, that takes that space, the old style, what we used to see from like a Jet on Split. That is how he plays attack side a lot of the time.
Or an Ascent.
Or an Ascent. Yeah, very good point. We're here. But on the defense, this guy has a lot of success. It was last week 12-3 in defensive opening duels. If they can replicate that, you got Ruxic online, Angel can be there, and all of a sudden this becomes a close game from what looked to be a shoo-in for GX.
Yeah, we've got to see how they're going to be able to deliver over on their attack side. Oh, ready, opportunity, but a weaker weapon and not capitalizing. Ruxic, this Spectre, has not been a weak weapon. Oh, it's not the prettiest, but even still, a trade is not the worst. That Marshall needs to get something here. Even if it's just tags, bring some of those players lower. They're not quite hitting, and well, Angel's found one, but that rifle dropping to the deck is not ideal, and there's no way that Alexic's going to be able to correct to hit that shot. An advantage found, a 10th looking likely, and a tough retake for Hero and Xiao.
Got to go for this 2v3. The odds aren't stacked that heavily against them. No deep clear of short. Obviously pretty happy that all three are towards the site, and as the door breaks, they have to be worried about A main. That's always a possibility for someone to be there this late into the game, and with Cloud finding Hero now, maybe you'd think about a save in a lot of these rounds. Xiao's going for it, but the result is as expected. Double digits locked in for GX. 10-5, and very much reaching the home stretch if they win this one.
Yeah, all in all, you take this as a bonus round, you go, that's not bad. Like, you made it a little bit costly, but when you look at the scoreline, that's where you're hoping for a little bit more from Navi. Wow, for GX, they managed to keep that one at least decently. They are going to have a few troubles here and there, but they will be able to juggle the rifles over. I'm more interested, though, in that Alexic operator. We mentioned he was 25-8 the last time he played on Ascent, and a lot of that came down to the defensive side. They really need him to have a performance here.
It's must for Navi, and
Nice
it's Alexic to open up. West side down.
My ult is ready.
Navi not looking to overextend. Sure, they'll fire a flash through, but it's all posturing. One thing to be concerned about, really, is what I'm seeing over here. Grabinho's looking to work space on A, and if he goes a little more brazen, he had a window to walk through, but now the rotations come through. You've got an operator stood up top waiting for that. The right read from Navi as the rotates come through.
Yeah, Cloud already has his ult online, though. He's been farming up the orbs. Now, if they fire this through short, he could have a nasty couple of tags, or at least he can dismantle the position that is being held by Alexic. Give them that post-plant. Early flash. There goes the Hunter's Fury. They have been caught by their own util, but as said, this is the space that they wanted. The main idea is to get them into position and allow them to fight in that afterplant. They have, however, taken a lot of damage on that cross.
30 seconds
Flickless is lucky to make that cross. He was jumping across the smoke and jumping. Grabinho! Oh, he's just made it out of that nade. 9 HP.
Ooh.
A spam from Angel almost catches him. Flickless onto Xiao. Numbers thinning as the attackers come up in most fights. Grabinho's still in heaven, and he will be dropped, leaving it all onto Ara, but this man has performed in so many of the big rounds for GX, and this a chance to put them on the home stretch, to decimate Navi, and he's got the first! The follow-up is there too! A Red Bull clutch for Ara! 11-5, and Navi left in the dust.
Yeah, that might just be the nail in the coffin. We were saying that it can be a slog to grind out these attack side rounds, but that Red Bull clutch is exactly what they needed from Ara. He's maybe not had the craziest of games, but if he's able to get them over the line, and you can see how fired up he is, staying in that upper bracket has so much extra value. for Navi. Their lifeline is fading away. And a matchup versus Vitality that could send them out for the year. This is the last chance for Happy to talk with the team. Well, hopefully he's got some value to bring.
Happy to talk with the team and Pipson talk at the team.
Yeah.
It's good. I love seeing that from Ara though, man. Seeing him fired up down on that stage. I don't know why I said bots. Angel's the only bot on Navi. It's just, he's playing a robot.
Right.
That's what I mean. So it's kind of weird. But other than that, I think Ara perfectly justified in the trash talk. I mean, you want to see him, especially after that first map where, like I said, he felt shut down, but on Haven he had full command. That game was all his, and then we moved to map 3. And to be honest, you know, he's been good. He's had his rounds. Grabinho went 8-0, didn't die for a long time, finished the last half, what, 16-4? He's definitely been my highlight, but Ara's not far behind. I mean, other than, as I said, Xiao's been having just a great series. I don't remember seeing him play like this for quite a while.
It's a shame that it seems like, at least in this map, haven't got the rest of them. I like this. Oh, a pause called. And you just want to pick up the pace, end this quickly, move as a unit. You're up against a weaker purchase, but a purchase of sorts. And this round already looks done. Within the first 20 seconds, you've given
Spike planted.
your opponent something to think about. They've had the talk, they've been sat there with their coach trying to figure out what to do, and then you've just blitzed them.
Updraft battle, I like it. Yeah, for Navi, obviously they've got the Blade Storm here. Ruxik's got a Bulldog to play around, but this was very much a save money for the next, which is a brave call when you're staring down the barrel of a 12-5, 7 consecutive rounds when the most they've had is, what, 2? Blade Storm fired at the shots through the smoke. They found it. Okay, this is now looking winnable. I don't know why I'm having to pay attention. I thought it would be just a few picks, but now the Diffuse already tapped, draws them into the open. Ruxik drops Ara. Diffuse needs to be stuck though. He just has to drop the Diffuser, and that's exactly what Grabinho does. Very well played. The Red Bull clutch for him. And GX locking in that 12th round. Yes, it was a low buy from Navi. They lost early fights, whatever. They now need 7 in a row.
Yeah, the fact is, even though, again, like, fantastic work from Ruxik to be able to clear out 4 in this scenario, I don't even know if that extra kill was needed at the end. It was so late on that defusal, and it doesn't matter in the end. 12-5, economy damaged for sure, but when you have this much of a run at it, I don't think there's anything Navi can do to turn this one around. That lower bracket is calling. Their lifeline is fading. And well, in this round at least, they do have themselves the better of the buys. I love the bait. Ara just willing to sell himself for that additional trade. And once again, they have this A-site post-plant with an advantage.
Oh, that's disgusting too. Ara threading the needle. He'll be shut down eventually, but the work has been done. And it should be enough. They know where Xiao is already. Now they know Alexic's position. They've seen the op too. There'll be no easy kills granted. Over to the rifle, Alexic dash online. He needs this opener for them to have a chance, and he gets it. Even gets out cleanly. Repositions for the fight on Flickless. It's beautiful from Alexic, but much more is asked of him. He has to hold the line as the defuse is underway. And it's Alexic who can walk out of this round with his head held high. He's just bought Navi a chance.
Yeah, again, it's another round where those advantages were there in the early battles, the execute. Ara doing fantastic work, not only to just dive in to almost die, but he ends up taking a kill later in the round. But as this man, once again, we mentioned him on the defense, but if anything, this was a full retake. It wasn't him being set up for success, it was him taking it with his own hands. He's almost top fragging, by the way, after what had been a relatively quiet game thus far. It's not going to matter, though, unless they can string 6 in a row. This one, the most likely of the lot. With Ara on a Blade Storm, there's still an opportunity.
Oh, yeah, there's nothing to be taken for granted in this round. Ara's had, again, even just think back to Haven. He has been the threat that Navi struggled to deal with, and with a Blade Storm and nothing to lose. This could go from bad to worse. Thrown out. Xiao's going to be revealed, but he's safe behind the wall. The problem is he's not safe from Ara, who's going to jump through the trap to take that pick eats the stun. Hero under pressure now, but he's got backup.
They're going the other way, they're going the other way.
They ran into the op. They taking Alexic down. It's the Blade Storm again to draw blood. Now the A site's open for business. Oh,
he's dead, he's dead, he's dead.
Risky play, and it will not pay off. Ara's found a third with the Blade Storm, and this one is done.
It is a pay save card, Thrifty, that will end it for the side of GX, and a dominant final map to take it home. They came into this series talking about it being a 50-50 with Navi dominating map number 1. We started to call that into question, but it's the resilience and the turnaround from GX that will keep them in that upper bracket. And while speaking of turnaround, they've got to go and start getting ready for tomorrow, because they'll be back here in not too long, as they'll be looking to face off against Team Liquid.